I am so excited to talk to Sarah Sanders today, who is a licensed psychotherapist and entrepreneur. She's a wife and a mama. And I love how you kind of like describe what you do and your passion. On your bio, it said, like, my passion in life is helping women, especially mothers, learn how to look inward and tune into their needs so they can savor today and squeeze as much joy as possible out of their motherhood journey by connecting to the woman within the mother. And I love how you worded that so well, like how to reconnect with the woman within the mother, because that's who we are. Like we are women first, and then we become mothers. And I think it's so important that mamas get lost in raising babies and business. And it's so important to understand what our needs are. And when those are met, we can be the best version of ourselves in all areas. So, Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, this is awesome. We're excited to dive into this topic. So, Chelsey said psychotherapy, psychotherapist, just for anyone who's kind of new to the topic, like, how would you explain that to, like our 3-year-old son?
Yeah. So this is what I tell my just turned 4-year-old is mommy's going to work and listening to people and helping
Mhm.
people with what's going on inside.
Mm,
And so that's really the focus and my just as you described, what I care about is helping mothers reconnect to who they are inside because as you said, we get so lost on, nap schedules and sleeping and the sippy cups and the snacks and it just our days just fly
mhm,
by and it's really hard to like slow down and kind of ground yourself and be like, "Okay, have I eaten today? Have I drank anything today? Do I need anything? Do I need to take a break?" And so I just want to elevate this message that it's okay to have needs for yourself
mhm,
because you're first and foremost a woman. And when I came up with that, reconnect to the woman within the mother, it just really solidified
mhm,
that. And that's what I help clients do in my psychotherapy practice. But I'm so limited with the one to one that I can't reach more people and, kind of expand this out and shout it from the rooftops. And I've seen so much progress and healing within my clients. And there's so much that I teach them that is about what's your brain thinking and, kind of stopping and pausing and
mhm.
coping skills and all these things that's not just psychotherapy. But I was like, I want to share this with more
Yeah.
people. And so I created this whole second business so that I could have this platform to be able to share this because I see so much life changing progress in my therapy session and there's bits and pieces of it that I can share, you know, across state borders,
Mhm.
because I'm limited
Mhm.
in California because I'm only licensed in California. And I think mothers are just the bedrock of our
Mhm.
entire, society and just so important. And oftentimes our needs are just pushed to the side either by society's demands or family demands or even us just forgetting to put our needs as a priority. And it's huge. So that's my passion and kind of where I came to that. When I was pregnant with my daughter 4 years ago, I just had this idea and it kind of just popped into my head of like, what if I could reach more people? What if I could change more
Mhm.
lives than I can in my psychotherapy practice? And I didn't know what that looked like. And over the years, it kind of got bits and pieces. And then finally, I was like, oh, I can do coaching and I can just spread this
Yeah.
message. And that's that's what I want to do. It's what I love to do and change people's lives and support them where they're at and help them on that journey to what healing and health and hope looks like for
Mm,
them.
yeah. I love that you have an incredible local practice that is, like you just said, your clients are seeing incredible results. But then the entrepreneur in you was like, hey, like, I want to reach more people and I'm going to take this online, which is where Centered with Sarah was formed. And I think there is such a huge need for it because, as much as like, people looking for local therapists or resources that can sometimes be like limiting, but I love like the online platform just reaching more people that might be in different areas, but because they're connecting with you and your message, they can like jump in and see like those same results. So I think I'm so excited to like continue to hear those awesome testimonies, but like online. I would love to know, as far as these like practices and understanding, like I'm a woman first and within the mother, like, did you always have that foundation or did that kind of come from a place of like your own motherhood journey?
I would say I had the head knowledge because I became a therapist and was doing therapy before I had my oldest, but I just quickly got lost in it and I didn't stay connected to myself as a woman first. And so really this message and this passion came out of my own struggle and my own it just felt like I got hit by a wave and was pulled out to sea and it took a while to, figure out, when you dive into a pool and you get disoriented, it's like you feel like every time you're trying to push up, you're hitting the bottom and that's how I felt. I just felt like I was drowning in his needs and I couldn't catch my breath. And I had to really figure out what was it that I needed and how do I get my head above water? And I was seeing these same struggles um, amongst friends, but also amongst clients. And so really going back to um, psychology and just what I had been taught and learning how to take that space for myself because I think it's really hard as a mother to put your needs as a priority, especially when your kids have higher needs and there's always something that they need
Hmm.
and you can just go after that pursuit of their needs and just get lost in it. So I felt before I had my son is almost comical how confident I felt.
Hmm.
Like I have my degrees in psychology and I have all this experience and this is just going to be amazing. And 36 hours of labor and, just complications. And they put this baby in my arms and I'm like, no, like I don't know what to do, and the crying and, and so there's a lot with motherhood and it's just a journey, and I think it's so important for us to find those supportive people that we can have in our corner, and I get so many calls, for people looking to get help with psychotherapy, but not everybody just needs therapy. I mean, I think therapy is amazing, and I think everybody can benefit from it at certain points in their life. But there's sometimes like a mindset shift or a way that you can look at something that we're not even talking about healing any past trauma or your childhood. It's literally like, oh, I had the wrong perspective about that or had the wrong idea about that. And that can make your whole day or week or, experience with motherhood so much, so different than what you had been thinking and
Yeah,
feeling.
definitely. I would love to know, you talked about like sustainable self-care. And I think thankfully right now, I feel like people are talking about mental health more than I've ever, I don't remember having these conversations as a college student or high school student. And I feel like self care in general is a really good, like really positive thing. But I loved how you put another emphasis on like sustainable self care because while self care going to a spa, let's just use that as an example, like every Saturday for 6 hours is probably not sustainable for like a mom every single week. So what are some like practices that maybe you recommend or that you are doing yourself to have? Because it's all about like the longevity, like can I implement this tool? Can I implement this lifestyle so that it lasts and it's not just like, oh, I had a really great week or month and then I'm a wreck, because we want to like have those things that, yeah, sustain us.
Right. Yeah. And that's a great question because oftentimes we think about self care as the
Hmm.
external, the petties and the
Yeah.
manis and our hair and nails and that's great to do and even vacations and stuff, but a lot of that is
Mhm.
external and we need that internal. And so checking in with yourself and being able to have that mindfulness of like, okay, what was I just thinking? What was I just feeling? A lot of us, we carry tension or we carry stress in our bodies. And so if I'm driving and I suddenly feel like my shoulders are really tense, I check in with myself and I say, oh, what was I just
Mhm.
thinking? How is this causing stress for me? And I check in with that thought, and then I can replace that thought or be like, oh, maybe I need some space for myself. That is self-care because you're taking care of yourself,
Mhm.
and you're not just going on and, going through the motions and not paying attention to what's going on for you at all. And that is when you do that over and over and over, that adds this to sustainability, because when you know what you need and you know what's going on for you, because like your needs, Chelsey, as a mother are going to be different than my
Mhm.
needs as a mother, because we're different people, we have different families, but you're a different person, you're a different woman than I am. And so if you experience something that works great for you, that may work for me, but it may not.
Mhm.
And so we really need to be able to assess what our needs are. And this is what I teach my son. Is he's very
Mhm.
extroverted like my
Mhm.
husband, and they love to be around people and they want to always be talking and engaging and, be the life of the party. And so what I'm trying to teach my son is that's what works for you guys and that's what you need, but mommy needs quiet and peace and to kind of go into my little, hole for a
Yeah.
little bit, and I don't get a lot of that. And so when I can get that, I want to educate him on that, and my daughter is similar to how I am. And so just knowing yourself, and when I'm having a hard time or when I know something's coming up that's going to be stressful, I'm checking with myself, what can I do? How can I meet this need that's inside of me? And what are my thoughts? What are my feelings? What's kind of going on with my body? So just really being integrated with what's going on inside, because we go through the motions, like I was saying, and we feel cut off
Mhm.
to what's inside.
Yeah.
And so that's where it becomes sustainable, is my nails being done is not going to,
Mhm.
help me through the night, if there's a sick kid
Yeah.
or, through a stressful
Mhm.
experience.
I've never heard that said external self-care and then like internal
Mhm.
self-care, and that's the sustainable piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's so much emphasis on external, which is great. We all need it. Go do a spa day. But that's not going to help when there's that internal, those voices. I love that you broke that down.
Yeah. Sarah, I'm curious, like in those early days for you, because you kind of your breakthrough is now becoming another
Mm.
breakthrough for moms, which is so powerful. In those early days, was there like a tool or a practice that really was kind of the first thing for you that kind of felt like, man, this feels like I'm I'm breaking through something, right? You're kind of in the funk of I'm a new mom, this is new territory, you're getting lost. Was there like a specific tool or exercise or something you would go through to kind of that first one that you remember being like, "Okay, this is something special."
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, because I had this memory pop into my head the other day, that my son was probably only 3 months old. So he's, pretty new in the experience and the journey. And I didn't even realize that I had stopped doing anything for myself. And it was just all consuming what he needed. And he wasn't sleeping through the night. And he was, I had to bounce him a lot. So it wasn't just being up, it was like physically demanding. And there was one night, it was right before Mother's Day, and I wanted to make my mom this like picture, kind of scrapbooky type of thing. And I stayed up later instead of going to bed right away when I finally got my son to sleep. I stayed up and I worked on that. And I just could feel it inside. So I was like, this is for me, like, this is my time, this like, it just really fed my soul, and I hadn't had any of those experiences up until then. I'm like, "What was that? Like,
Mhm.
what was I doing?" And so it was taking space away, it was seeing what are my needs, and this is what I work on a lot with clients too, is like, you might hear the, "Yeah, you need to get 8 hours of sleep, da 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 da," but maybe it's worth it to stay up longer.
Mm.
Maybe you do need to talk to a friend, or maybe you do need to pursue a hobby for
Yeah.
yourself, and you're not getting the, required 8 hours or whatever that they say, but that's what you need in that moment. So again, that internal, it's not, gonna be good to do it every single
Mhm.
night and get 2 hours of sleep, but maybe that's what you need. And so when I started getting those little glimpses, or I would have somebody be able to watch my son and get an hour or 2 away, and this is all up until, he was 2 years old, I was still working on that, of like taking the time for myself, and also recognizing how much I loved doing therapy and I loved pouring into other people and helping other people. And I needed to take that time for myself. And I would feel so much better when I would go back to interacting with him, and I really needed that, and I had to check in with myself and not feel guilty and, really be aware of what my thoughts were around that, because I had this ideal that I should always be with him and I should be the main caregiver and never have a break, and I should be totally happy about that 24/7, and so I had to become aware of that unrealistic expectation. So that was really the breakthrough that I started realizing, was those little glimpses. I'm like, "Wait, what was that?" Let me write that down. Let me kind of sit with that. And again, just slowing down and being like, "What is this feeling? What do I need?" And so just really helping people find what works for them, and that's unique to their life and their experience. Because another dynamic with being a mother is, um, what people say kids should do or be
Mhm.
like, or, and there's so much pressure. And so we need to like push out the noise and really, center ourselves again to what what does it look like for us, and really finding our own path. So,
Mm. That's very cool. For you, like in that process, transitioning back to work, what were some of the, I don't know, structures or strategies you had for that? Because I know that can be tricky. Like we have a lot of moms like that where, they're working a corporate job, um, have some babies, stay home, and then they have this desire to go either back or do something else, right? Like
Mhm.
they're like, well, I want to be with my kids. It's like this balance of like, I want to be mom, but I
Yeah.
also am really good at this over here, and I
Mhm.
want to build this over here. And so for you, like stepping back in, what did that look like?
Mhm.
And I don't know, would there be any coaching you could give our audience? Because I know we have moms in that like kind of wrestle, that tug of war.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's a very real struggle. And I think some people really fit well with the stay-at-home mom life, and that's really rewarding to them. And I think we need to support them and value that. And at the same time, for those of us that really love having, a passion for work or doing something on our own or making money, or I think we need to value that as well and support where you're at with that. And so it just comes down to support on either end, and we need more support as mothers because we need to be able to take care of ourselves and have other people support that, and then we need somebody for our child or our children, and we can't just leave them at home and go to work, so there's so much that goes into that support. And as a whole, this is always one of my soapboxes, is the lack of support for mothers. You give birth, everything's about the baby. Even when you're pregnant, everything's about the baby. It's, what swing are you getting in this onesie and that onesie? And I actually hosted a mother's blessing for one of my friends. I think it was probably about a year ago now. And it was so meaningful to focus everything. Everybody's getting together for her and washing her feet and pampering her. Everything was about her and not the baby. And so when people and your audience are going back into work or trying to figure out how does that even look, it's all about the support. So I say it's not about the struggle, it's about the support, because we can all struggle and we all do struggle in different ways at different points. It's what is the support for it. So again, it's really identifying what is the need that you have. Is it for childcare? Is it for meals? Is it for housekeeping? Is it for time, for yourself? That's been a process for me, that when I work and I'm making money, it feels more validating that I'm away from my kids. It's harder for me to be like, I just need time away to recuperate and I'm not making money, So a lot of times we're prioritizing making money, and that's great, but we also need time away where we're not. And so I have clients who will be going back to work, and at first they feel really great that that's a good break, but over time, they are working, they are giving, they are, pouring out from themselves, and they need more time to recoup, and they can't just step back in to like their home life. And so creating space, letting your partner or your spouse or the support people in your life know that you need something. So again, you have to be tuned into your needs. So I have one client who works in the medical realm, and her transition back to work was just too quick. She didn't have any time to decompress. She didn't have any time to kind of like drop off all the stress and everything that she just experienced. And so we came up with a plan of what does that look like for her. So we slowed that process back into her house. And so she either stayed in her car longer at, the hospital, or stayed in her car longer at home and listened to a podcast or listened to music and brought a snack or went through a drive-through and got some food. Like, we had to figure out what exactly she needed so that when she walked back in, she could be happy and, present being back into the mom role, but she needed more time. So I think that's just that transition is huge. And it just like support, support, support. What do you need and how do you solve that? And a lot of times where I'm helping clients in therapy or with coaching is thinking outside the box, because we get our narrow tunnel vision and we're like, this seems so overwhelming. I don't know how to solve this. And you need somebody outwardly who's gentle and, okay, let me speak this out. Let me direct you this way. Let me throw this idea out there for you and guide you. And that makes all the difference in the world
Mhm.
for that transition.
Yeah. Sarah, what you said is like having that pause, like you helped that client who's in the healthcare profession, just like it was too quick of a transition from
Mm.
one thing to the next. And I'm sure medical field, especially, there's a lot that could happen in your day. I love that you helped her brainstorm what she needed. And that's something that I've been trying to do in my work day. And I would be curious, I'll share, and then I would love to hear how you transition from
Yeah.
entrepreneur to back to your family life. I know for me, we work from home. We love that. We love that the boys like have free reign to come in at any point, but also like there are days, Monday, Tuesday are my big work days, and I work more than I do like some of the other days I don't want to work at all, depending on the week. And that transition when I'm especially, depending on the day, that transition from upstairs to downstairs where the boys are has been challenging. And so I really have had to like look at my to-dos. Is there any last minute thing I need to do? And yeah, just breathe. And like for me, I tend to put too many to-dos on my list, which is a struggle. If I don't
Yeah.
complete them, then I feel like I failed at everything else, which is not true.
Yes.
But I have to really like almost like out of gratitude, just say like, look what I did do. You did this, this, and this, and it moved in the business, and just decompress and then go downstairs. And that has really helped me not want to continue to scroll or check Slack. And yeah, I think what you just explained with your client is huge. Are there anything that you do, um, whether it's like at the office or if you work from home?
Yeah. I think creating some kind of
Mm,
ritual. So it's gonna signify, because there's not a clear separation if you're at
hmm.
home or if you have a 3-minute commute like I do. There's not enough time to really even like take a
Yeah.
breather, it's just so quick. And so what I've learned is when I'm at my office to write down kind of what
Mm,
happened or what I'm still thinking
yeah.
about to kind of get it out from in here in my brain onto
Yeah.
paper. And so I might just make a couple notes. And I'm a big, to-do list person as
Hmm.
well. And I love to check, mark completed
Hmm.
on my phone and whatever. But what I found, and like you were saying, is you can have too many to-dos for the
Hmm.
day. And so I've really tried to kind of dial that back in, that when I'm thinking about tomorrow and my plan, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get da 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 da, done. And I'm like, wait a second, I might not though. So I space it out over the week, and maybe I can get it done. What I push on, put to Wednesday, maybe I can get it
Hmm.
done on Monday or Tuesday, but I'm not feeling that
Yeah.
pressure because we put so much more pressure on ourselves. So just creating some kind of ritual, whether that is, I've helped clients with figuring out who to talk to on the phone,
Hmm.
maybe walking back from work to home, if you can do that, or in the car, talking to somebody that can just kind of be like, I'm going to get this all
Hmm.
out and then I'm going to get home, maybe change my clothes or, do something, or maybe go outside and take some, deep breaths or walk, or, just whatever works for you, just really slowing that down and having like a clear distinction. Because as an entrepreneur, I think that's one of the hardest things is it's not necessarily I'm in this, building or this other place and then I'm coming home. It's like it's one and the
Yeah.
same. It's all mixed together. So really pulling apart those pieces and going, what what will help me really slow this down? I recently learned from a friend, because I also do EMDR, so I'll do trauma
Mhm.
work, and she was talking about this idea of a somatic stop,
Mhm.
where instead of just feeling all the stuff we're feeling, kind of absorbing it, we're doing something physical
Mhm.
that is showing that, one, we're in tune with ourselves, and this is a lot for me. This is overwhelming, and two, it's something that is almost like holding that as like a kind of a shield. And I think this works so well for motherhood as well, because we can get really overwhelmed with what our kids, emotions are, or
Yeah.
their demands, or, whatever's going on. And so my friend was saying she has this little box. And so she will have it on her desk, and she'll literally open it up and close it to signify, obviously the client can't see this, but signify, oh, this is something hard that's happening to me. And she moves it to a different spot on her desk. So at the end of the day, she remembers, oh, there was something earlier that was bothering me. I need to check back in.
Mhm.
And she'll check back in with herself. So I think I'm really big on the physical and the, something actual, that we're moving or we're doing. And so even getting that movement into our bodies of stretching or walking, or, just something that's like, I see you. I know that you've had a hard day. I know that this is, there's maybe the transition's going to be hard going back in, but I'm in touch with myself and what I'm experiencing. And I'm going to do this thing to really stop that overwhelm and that, like, kind of tidal wave that's crashing over you.
Mm, that's good.
So good.
I'm gonna talk about my ritual from transitioning. That's so
Yes.
good.
And I've developed like that too. I feel like even in the
Mhm.
last like couple months,
Yeah.
which I never had that. And I think I thought I was okay. And then like when I started having the ritual, like at the end of work,
Yeah.
then when it got interrupted, I was like, Chelsea, like
I need
I
you to
need this.
you need you to help
And
me.
and we've been
Yeah.
good at communicating that.
Yeah.
And like that's been so good just to like have that mental like, okay, I am an entrepreneur and I can solve problems all day, but I am also a father and I need to show up as a good dad and not be on my phone and not be trying to solve the next business, change the world problem, right? Like
Changing the
so
diaper. Yeah.
yeah. So it's been so good to have
Yes.
that
Yeah.
and it kind of caught me off guard. It was unexpected how
Yes.
it came, but yeah, it's been such a key part of my day now, And so yeah, thank you for sharing that. Um, this has been such a powerful episode, just like some practical tools,
Mhm.
some things I think, if you're listening to this episode, some things might be stirring that you're like, yeah, I feel like I could really lean into that. So we encourage that. Like we don't encourage our listeners of the show to passively listen, but to
Mm.
take action on what you're learning. So I would write down if you're listening to the show, write down something that like maybe it is this end of day ritual. Maybe it's, something else that we leaned into today. But try it this week and report back. We'd love to hear. Reach out on Instagram. Connect with Sarah. Sarah, like how can people connect with you online to go deeper on these topics?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram at Center with Sarah. And so you can find me there, or you can email me at hi@centerwithsarah.com. I do have a quiz. It's kind of fun to identify what area is lacking that you need to strengthen to connect to the woman within the mother. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, or you're feeling like, I don't even, this is great, but I don't even know where to start, I have that starting point for you. So yeah, so centerwithsarah.com/quiz. It's a 7-question, pretty quick quiz, and it will tell you exactly where you need to start with, and some practical tips right away to get going so you can start feeling some relief or start feeling like you're making some progress.
Awesome. Well, this is resonating with you. Go take that quiz. And after you take that quiz, make sure to send Sarah a message or a DM and just say, hey, this is where I'm at. And make sure to follow along because I love everything she's putting out there. It's so needed to understand what our needs are as mamas and entrepreneurs in that transition. So thank you so much for being on today. I love chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me. This was awesome.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Rainmaker Family Show. Hey, if you are not a part of our Rainmaker Mastermind, we have a new opportunity for you to book a one-on-one strategy call with one of our Rainmaker coaches.
If you want to get a call with them, see if it's a good fit for you to work with us to build a business that allows you to have time freedom and financial freedom, you can get that call at makeItrainmama.com/podcast. That's makeItrainmama, MOMMA.com/podcast.